Hello and welcome to the Gnostic Warrior radio show and podcast. I'm your host Mo, and I want to welcome you to the show. The title of this podcast is René Guénon and the Antichrist. Many scholars from different religious persuasions have believed that the Antichrist will likely be a unique individual who appears during the end times. The French mystic and traditional thinker René Guénon also believed that the Antichrist would likely be a specific person. In The Reign of Quantity and the Signs of Times, Guénon says that the modern world is a realm of pure materialism because of the Western deviation from eternal truth. This resulted in the reign of quantity. This was not just about economics and politics, it was also a spiritual war. He wrote of the current age, "The word satanic can indeed be properly applied." Guénon uses the word satanic to represent the negation and reversal of order and denial of traditional truth. He says that the spirit of negation is the spirit of lying and is often disguised by the unexpected in order to avoid being recognized and even in order to pass itself off as the very opposite of what it is. The adversary naturally will try to pass himself off as an angel of light. For Guénon, the Antichrist would be who he called an impostor who comes at an opportune time when everything traditional is inverted or upside down, which brings about the coming of the great parody. His rule will bring about the end of the reign of quantity, and he will claim it will be the golden age, a counterfeit Messiah that promises the people heaven on earth. But it's a lie in the form of a pseudo-traditional restoration and counter-initiation. According to Guénon, the counter-initiation is the expression of the counter-tradition in the social order, which is precisely the reign of the Antichrist. This will be the time we have a reintroduction of quality, but of quality inverted with respect to its normal and legitimate significance. Guénon says the Antichrist will be a person who will be at the head of this thing as the incarnation of what it will represent. He will establish a new visible counter-hierarchy, the summit of which will be occupied by this being. He will be less an individual than a symbol, a synthesis of all the inversion of tradition that has led up to his time. We could interpret this event that Guénon describes as the great illusion to the end of all illusions for the people, as if the Antichrist will be a natural outgrowth of modern society at the agreed-upon end time, but he is also chosen or anointed to assume his role as the de facto leader of the last act. Guénon said the Antichrist will also have specific physical traits and deformities showing inwardly that he is the closest to hell, bearing the mark of the devil. He will have neither a predecessor nor successor. In The Reign of Quantity and the Signs of Times, Guénon wrote, the Antichrist will be an impostor, since his reign will be nothing other than the great parody in its completest form, the satanic imitation and caricature of everything that is truly traditional and spiritual. His time will certainly no longer be the reign of quantity, which was itself only the end point of the anti-tradition. It will, on the contrary, be marked under the pretext of a false spiritual restoration by a sort of reintroduction of quality in all things, but of quality inverted with respect to its normal and legitimate significance. After the egalitarianism of our times, there will again be a visible, established hierarchy, but an inverted hierarchy, indeed a real counter-hierarchy, the summit of which will be occupied by this being who will in reality be situated nearer than any other being to the very bottom of the pit of hell. René Guénon wrote in The Reign of Quantity that the role of the Antichrist marks the end times where the modern world and evil will vanish. But this does not mean it is the end of humanity. Like a bad dream, it is simply the end of an illusion. Guénon wrote, "The end now under consideration is undeniably of considerably greater importance than many others, for it is the end of the whole man-vantara, and so of this temporal existence of what may rightly be called a humanity, but this, it must be said once more, in no way implies the end of the terrestrial world itself, because through the reinstatement that takes place at the final instant, this end will immediately become the beginning of another Manvantara. It can be said in all truth that the end of humanity never is and never can be anything but the end of an illusion. Evil is effaced and in the presence of the total order into which it is finally merged, and this seemingly excuses all crimes as mere negativities, as simply limitations, like contingent existence itself. The evil vanishes completely because it was in reality only an illusion inherent in separativity. I'd like to thank you for listening to the Gnostic Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Mo, and I wanted to let you know that there's 2 ways that you could support me and this great work. Number 1 is Patreon. I have 3 different level memberships. For as little as $5, you can join the Temple of Gnosis and the Gnostic Warrior community. Go to patreon.com/Mo, M-O-E, Bedard, B-E-D-A-R-D, and join the special community. The second way that you could support me is if you need any type of digital marketing for yourself or for your business, whether that be website design or search engine optimization, SEO, content writing, so forth. I wanted to let you know that I've been doing it for 12 years. So if you're looking to get work done, you like the work that I do, please drop me an email at moeseo@gmail.com. Thank you for listening and take care.